So the first one is, we call it as pasta marpu. So it is like a Tibetan version of a pasta, but instead of cheese, we use a lot of butter inside. So there's butter and a little bit of sugar. So but this time we made it with brown sugar. And then this one is what we call as a ceremonial rice. So when we have some ceremony or some program, when we start program like that, we have this, you eat this ceremonial rice with Tibetan butter tea. So there is a butter tea that some of you have tasted, right? And with this we have inside it. So first I want to warn you that I have cashew nut inside, and there's raisin and butter. So anyone who was allergic to that might not touch it. And then because I'm also talking about the monastic life, I've made monastic bread that we eat every morning. So just it's not exactly like that. It's much larger than that. One bread it has, so we weigh it. So one bread has 200 pounds. So, but it's not. This one is not 200 pounds. So it has a little bit of, it has a slight tinge of sweetness inside. So we have put sugar and oil. And this is something that I don't know whether you will like it or not, but this is our Tibetan staple food. So this is, we call it samba. So it is a roasted barley. So we put roasted barley and we put it in butter, and then we, like a dough, we make it and then we eat it. So normally we eat it with tea, but since it is very dry, I also made a little bit of potato curry. So you can eat it with the potato curry. It's not spicy at all. I didn't put chili. Yeah, so with that, please.
Oh, Raka, what are the names of each one?
Oh, sorry. Yeah, thank you. So we call this one is pasta marpu. So marpu means very oil, like buttery. So lots of butter is inside that.
Okay.
And this we call it desi. So desi, yeah. So it's and this just say barley for like bread.
Okay.
We say chasam barley means monastic bread.
Okay.
And this is samba or roasted barley, and this is potato curry.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, please eat.
Hello everyone. Hello, hello, hello.
Hello.
So in Tibetan we say tashit delek, and which means may you be successful, healthy and happy. So before I start, I wanted to tell a story. Who likes story here? Yeah. So it's a story of creation of like Tibetan. So I'm going to tell a story of the origin of Tibet, as in the Tibetan myths. So a long time ago, the world is covered with ocean, only water. And then as time went by, the water evaporated, and then from underneath the water, up came the land. So from that land, slowly and slowly, living beings start to stay, like come into being. So in one of those living beings, there was a monkey who happened to be around the time of Himalayans. When the Himalayan came up, who happened to be there, and he was staying there, staying there peacefully. And then one day, a demon came. So that demon told the monkey that no, I want you to you have to sleep with me. You have to stay with me. You have to marry me. Otherwise, I will marry with other demons and I will destroy everything. So the monkey said, I don't want anyone to be destructed. So okay, I will stay with you. And from the monkey and the demon, they came 6 monkeys, 6 children. There are monkeys. And each of these 6 different children they made their own clans. So we call it 6 clans, right? So from that 6 clans are the origin of the Tibetan. That's what the Tibetan myth says. So we are from monkey and demon. So from that monkey and demon came me, and my name is Tenzin Ravka, and I'm going to talk about the Indo-Tibetan culture and monastic life in my monastery. It's in South India, Drepung Gomang Monastery. So the reason I chose Indo-Tibetan culture is because I am a Tibetan refugee born in Tibet. Born in India. So I thought that there's someone who's more qualified than me to talk about the actual Tibetan culture, who is Pasang, she came from Tibet, so I thought she would be much more qualified than me. So I leave that all to her. Maybe in future if she talks. But I will talk about the Indo-Tibetan culture. There are some similar, there are lots of cultures that Tibetans share from India. So I want you to talk about it. And then I will go to the question that I've met many people who ask, what's the monastic life in the monastery? So, okay, so in this geographical region of Asia, you can see a little bit of red dot there, right? So that red dot is the place where our monastery is. So that's we are from here. And then the red circle is where we call as Tibet. So, yeah, and then from there, and my parents came from this place, like from around here. So my grandparents came with my parents as a baby. They carried them on their back, and then we came to India. And from Tibet, in that region, we have three different, we call three different provinces. So one is Uzang and Amdo and Kham. So from this, in the United States, we have 50 states, right? So similarly in Tibet, we have three big provinces. And then this one is our flag, which was introduced by the 13th Dalai Lama in around 1912, something like that. So before talking about culture, I wanted to ask what comes into your mind when you talk about culture? When you think about culture, what comes into your mind? What are the things that come into your mind when you talk about culture? Food. Very important. Food. Sorry?
Music.
Yeah, music. Food, right? Language. Things like that, right? So about music, about food, about clothing, I will leave it to Pasang. because she saw it. She saw it in real person, right? In real life. But I've only saw it in pictures and videos like that. So I think it's much better for her. But what I will tell you is, in our Tibetan culture, when we talk about culture, the two biggest things that come in that we talk about is language and religion. So here is the photo of the 33rd king of Tibet, who is usually he is credited for unifying all of the Tibet kingdoms. Before that, it was all small kingdoms spread out. So he unified the kingdom. It's around 7th century. So he thought, because now every kingdom has different way of speaking things, different way of writing. So he thought, every country, I should have a unified script, unified language. So he sent some of his ministers to India to study about the Indian scripts. So he sent one of his brightest minister called Thonesa Buddha to India. So in India, he studied for like many years, and then this is the language that he studied. Yeah, so it is called a Devanagari language, Devanagari script. So, or you could say a Sanskrit or Hindi script. So this is the Tibetan script that we have. So is there anyone here who knows how to read Hindi? Hopefully. Yeah, thank you very much. So can you speak the first verse here, or first letter? Okay, now I will speak the Tibetan alphabet. Ka, 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 nga. It sounds similar, right? And now about this one.
Cha, cha, ja, ja, nya.
Okay. Cha, 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 nya. So a Tibetan script is like is taken from the Indian script, like Indian script in a sense, like the Devanagari, ancient like classical Devanagari script. So from that way we had a unified script, and from that we made a Tibetan letter that we use right now. And then about religion, so now we have a Tibetan script. So now the king thought, okay, we also need to have a unified religion. And because India is closest to Tibet, he sent, there was a very big Buddhist university in India at the time, around 7th or 8th century like that, called Nalanda University. So that king, now he is the 38th king of Tibet. So he sent some of his ministers to invite ancient, Indian scholars to Tibet to teach about Buddhist religion. So he's like Shanta Rakshita and Padmasambhava, so they are Buddhist scholars. who came from India to Tibet, and then they, like Shantarashita specifically, he learned Tibet script himself and told them that, no, you don't need to learn in Sanskrit to learn about Buddhism. You should translate all the like Buddhist classical Sanskrit Hindi script into Tibetan, and then you should study it into Tibetan. So from that onward, many like scholars have translated all the scripts into Tibetan, and then we studied it. So what we study right now is we study those scripts, like those classical texts that were translated into Tibetan, and that's what we study in the monastery. So that's how I come from a religion to a monastery. You might see, have you ever seen this one, photos like this? No? So this is a Hindu practice called Havan or a fire puja. So similar to Hindu fire puja, we also have fire puja in Tibetan Buddhism. So the one who is performing this fire puja is my teacher. So I stay with him. So I wanted to, as a spoiler, I wanted to tell you that I'm being very selfish today, and I am going to show lots of photos that's related to like that's about me, and there's lots of photos with me inside. So I'm going to tell right now I'm being selfish here. Okay, so this is the monastery that I'm from. We call it the Drepung Gomang Monastery. That's in South India, in Karnataka, and we have around 2,000 monks there. And then, what are the first thing that we do in the monastery is we memorize a lot. So what we memorize is we memorize the root texts. So here you can see small kids who are all staying with me because this is my phone. So you can see him memorizing, and him. So she saw me taking photo. Okay, so that's the way we memorize things. And usually when we memorize, after we memorize certain verses in the morning or in the daytime, we have to give the what we have memorized to our teacher. So here he have to give what he have memorized to the teacher who you have seen performing this fire puja before, right? So what we do is before giving our memorization to our teacher, we give it to someone else to see like a rehearsal. So here you can see him giving it to another monk. So when he feels confident enough to know, okay, now I've memorized well, so he will go to our teacher and will give the memorized there. So that's how we do most of the time, many of the time, whole year. And we have memorized exam. So when I talk about exam, I wanted to tell you also about the class system. So in university, we have like 3 years, 4 years, and then 2 years, like from bachelor and master's. Similarly, in the monastery, we have 17 years. For my monastery, we have 17 years of class. So each year, we have to give exams and then go on to the next class and exam next class like that. It's same as every school and university. So when I talk about exam, we have 3 different types of exam. So first one is the memorizing exam. So this is what they are doing, preparing for the memorizing exam. And this is how we give our memorizing exam. So you can see all of these who are the examinees, and these are the exam takers. So they will look at the verse, at the text, and they will memorize it. So usually the way that the minimum level of we have to give is we have to memorize, recite 16 pages in memorizing. So that's the minimum to get passed. So and then but then there are many who give 50, 60, or like 100, 200 pages for memorizing. Okay, so this is, and then what do we do on the things that we have memorized, right? So that is we study. And before that, I wanted to show you a little bit about prayers, because monks' prayers always go together, right? So this is how we pray in our monastery. So I saw this small clip in YouTube. So that's the monks in the monastery. So he is the chant master. He starts chanting, and then every monk will start reciting. Yeah, so this is in our monastery where we pray, say our prayers, things like that. Okay, okay, so then that's how the class goes. But the difference with like Western education system and monastic education system is that in Western education system, the teachers are already there, right? The teachers are already provided by the administration, and students say, okay, I wanted to learn, like let's say biology. I wanted to study introductory biology, so they go to the introductory biology class, and then the teacher is already assigned by the universities, right? But in a monastery system, which we took from the ancient Indian culture, a way of education system is we go to a specific teacher and we ask him to be our teacher. So let's say Taga is a very highly educated scholar, which I don't know whether he is or not, but let's assume he is. And I am a new monk, and I wanted to learn a specific text, and so what I would do is I would go to him, and I would ask him that please be my teacher. I wanted to study this, and then he would say, if he has time, he would say, okay, come at that time, because there are other students I have class at that time. You can come at that time. So that's how we do it, and we don't have a specific class like that. We go to the home of the teacher. So we go. So this you can see is all the students are at the home of the teacher, and the teacher will give like a lecture or anything for 1 hour, and then they will return back. So this is how we study from our teacher. And one important thing is in our monastic culture, when we talk about teacher, we have a very high importance of connection between teacher and student. So we call it Guru Shiksha. That's an Indian word, but we call it Lama and Loma. So just a very important connection that we have. So when we talk about education, the most important thing is respecting our teachers. So when sometimes you might see if you see a teacher coming in your way, we will run away. We are shy of showing our face to our teacher. So that's how important or high regard we see in them. And when the teacher comes, we will just go down and we won't talk face to face. We will just go down and then talk with them. So this may be a difference from here. And then another thing is we have a debate session. So it is like first memorizing, and then the class, and then what we have studied in the class, we have these debate sessions. So it is like a homework or do-it-yourself sort of practice. So we have 2 hours in the morning and 4 hours in the evening of debate session. So it's 6 hours every day we have this debate session. So this is a debate courtyard, and you can see monks doing debate. So they are answering the question and they are responsible for asking the questions. But here apparently, because someone is taking video, they are doing it very formally. But usually it is much more complicated than that. I mean, it's much more. If someone who doesn't know how people debate, they might see they are fighting. Because there are some who are answering and there are some who are asking questions, right? So let's say he wants to ask a specific question, but I wanted to ask a different question. But there's only one answerer. So I would say, no, I want to ask questions. He would say, no, I want to ask questions. So we will push each other. So if someone who doesn't know how debate goes, they will say, oh, look, all these monks are fighting. So that's something you might see. Okay, so then after debate, we have this also debate exam. So first is the memorizing exam, we also have debate exam. So here you can see the selfish monk trying to answer the questions. So here is me, and then there are the examiners, and then the monastic abbot also comes and look over how the sessions are going on. And here you can see a monk asking questions. But one interesting thing that you might see is this one. He is looking at a paper, right? And there are lots of papers here. So in each family there is a text, like there is a work or an excerpt taken off from a certain classical text, which we don't know from where it is. So it will be taken out from a certain text, and then he will look at the work or at the writings, and he will have to point out from saying, I want to ask. You want to ask question again? He said, go out. It's my turn. So that's how usually we debate. But here it's just the kids. But now imagine adults doing that. Pushing each other. Okay, so after that debate, we have writing exam, written exam. So this year, it's in the monastic prayer hall, which you have seen in the video before. So everyone sits on their own assigned group seats, and they give our writing exam. So we have like memorizing and written and debate exam. And this is something that might be interesting. So here, during the graduation ceremony, everyone have hold their parties, things like that, right? Suppose I graduated from a university, so I would hold a big party with my family and friends. But in a monastery, after graduating, it's not exactly a party. We have to give answers to all the texts that we have studied for the last 20 years in front of all the monks. So here you can see these are all those graduates, and then each of them will have to give answers to a teacher or a scholar who will stand up and ask questions to him in front of all the monks. So they will have to give any answer to any question that they ask. But one thing that is more interesting is it is not the graduates who are nervous, it is the one who is asking the question. Because the one who is asking the question is an individual, and even though he has to answer, they will all help him. But for him, there is no one who is helping him. So he has to ask the question in front of all the monks. So that is something exciting, or should I say nervous or afraid? I don't know what to say, but that's something we all look forward to. And another thing is, just like we have like inter-university competitions, like sports meet, things like that, we have inter-monastic debates. So this is one we call as great winter debate. So every winter, different monks meet together and have sort of debate. So in front of all those monks, there are two monks who will give the answer in front of a monk from different monasteries. So they will ask the questions, and then he will have to answer. So it is like inter-monastic meet. So here, they are asking the questions, and then here is me again being selfish, showing my own photo instead of someone else which I should. But I'm sorry, that's the only photo that I have. So here I am giving the answer. So that is something. For me personally, it is. I've been for that occasion I've been like studying and reading, like practicing for like 2 months, and then it was very nervous because I have to give answer to other monasteries, monks from other monasteries, which are also selected from that monastery. So it's not just random monks, but monks who are better educated, who are learned. So they will ask questions, and also sometimes teachers from that monastery will stand up and ask questions. So that is something very, I felt very nervous, but also that is something which we regard as a very auspicious occasion, because we only get such chances only once in our lifetime. So it's also very auspicious and should I say fortunate opportunity for me. And is it that we only study? No, we also have to do our monastic walks. So here you can see me again. That was around maybe 14-15 years ago. So that was when I was 10, and I was making a monastic bread at that time, which you saw before. So I wanted to apologize. Earlier I had mistake. By mistake I said 200 pounds, but it's not that. It's 200 grams. So that is the 200 gram bread that I made. So 200 pounds would be much bigger than that. Okay, so but our afternoon bread is much larger than that. It's around 250 grams. So 4 of that would make 1 kilo. So each monk would have 1 large bread for their lunch. And then we make our vegetables, and we cook it in a big utensil and put it in a small one, and then other monks will come and bring their own utensils. And it's not just coming in the kitchen, we also have to work in the farm. So here it's not that we have to do all the farming work, but in this picture you can see our class being assigned to work in gathering all the hays that have been left after gathering the rice. So all the leftover hays we have to collect it. So that's how we study and we work in the monastery. And I think that's it. If there's anything left, next. Oh no, it's thank you. Yeah, so thank you. We say Tukje Che. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Can you give an example of a question and answer in Tibetan? And
Okay.
how do you answer the question? What is the reasoning behind the answer?
Okay. Shall I ask a question to you?
Yes. To me?
Yeah. I mean, like a normal question, like a general question, or I can ask, Tava.
Yeah.
You can demonstrate.
Yeah, we want to see how.
Yeah,
Okay, no, you use your body language in that, right? So I'm not going to act out, but I'm just going to ask the question, right? In English, and the question would be like a general case, general question. So I would, okay, say, what is the color of this?
Green.
Green. Is it? Why is it green? Is it green because you see it is green, or
Everyone knows it's green.
but then there are animals who see it not as a green, as another color.
Every individual, every being has their own different vision.
Okay, so you say that it is green because it is green to you.
Yeah.
So is it
green for the?
Okay, so is it? So can you say that everything is, if it is true to you, it is true in its nature?
It's depend on their own vision.
So is it true that the color of this is green? It is green color because it is green color to your vision.
Yeah.
Then can I say
For
it
me,
is?
it's-
Can I say it is blue color because it is a blue color to another individual's vision?
So for that vision, there is blue for that individual.
Okay, so in that person's perspective, it is a blue color.
Yes.
But to your perspective, it is a green color.
Yes.
So can I say it is both blue and green?
So it is depend on your vision.
So is it? Can you say that it is? Can you say that the reality, the nature of this color is green, or can you say the nature of this color is based on that old individual?
That's we have to experiment on the particular object.
Okay, so that's how we ask questions. So for that, it is just about the color, but no, in monastic we talk debate about like classical texts. So we bring, there are many contradictions from different classical texts. So we bring every contradiction together, and then each of us would give our own.
The part two of the question, how do you give the reasoning for the answer? Is it just spontaneously, or you have an end goal in mind how you answer the question?
Oh, so I think it is like a chess game. So it is like, just asking one question wouldn't be enough. So you will have to have a few steps again. So in your mind, even though that person is answering, your mind, you should say, okay, if I ask him this question, that person will answer this. For that, I'm going to ask this question. For that, they'll answer this one. So you are playing one head ahead of that person's time. So we have to do a lot of thinking on that.
Thank you.
Yes.
So is the answerer doing the same thing as the chess game? They're also chess
Yes,
gaming. They
yes.
think this will be your next question, so I'm going to try to give you
Yes,
this
yes,
different
exactly.
answer
Yes.
to throw you off
Yes.
the next question.
Yes. So the answerer would say, okay, suppose if he's asking this question, so he's expecting this answer. I'm not going to give this answer. I'm going to give a different answer. Like that. Yeah.
So there's no right or wrong.
No, there's no right or wrong.
So how do you finish?
So this is something that actually I should say there's no finish in that. So just like in a school, in a class, for 1 hour, the duration of the class is 1 hour, and even though you have not finished your debate, the bell will ring and you have to go out. So similarly, in a monastic, in a debate courtyard, the time limit is until 11 in the night. So they start a debate around 6:30 evening, and then the official duration is until the 11 p.m. So even though they will go out, there will be monks who remain debating. Some debate till all night, like 2 or 3 in the night. For example, me, when I started my monastic debate study, I have studied, I've stayed till like 1 or 2 many times. So it's like how they go.
How often did this debate part of
Oh,
every
so
day?
yeah, it's 6 hours every day. So that's the minimum. And during the class, in the class when the teacher is giving lectures, right, he will only give he will only explain a certain paragraph of the text, and then he will debate. He will ask questions to the students. So it is his way of giving lectures. Ask the student and make him think. And then when the students have some doubt, so the purpose of the teacher is to create doubt in the student's mind. And when the student has some doubt, they will go to debate court and then ask this question to another student. So this is how we clear our doubts.
What's the pipeline to you learn science, math, and language, who decides what to learn?
Oh,
And,
yes.
how
Yeah. So the monastic, there is a monastic syllabus. So we have, in the monastic syllabus, it is mostly related with the classical text, and then some with Tibetan grammar, things like that, grammar and literature. But our science, it is only recently introduced because, I mean, the Dalai Lama has been asking the monastics to introduce science like 20 years ago, like 20, 30 years ago. But at that time, I think it's same with any of the religion community. They were skeptical. Like they would say, I don't know, but because the monastic study itself is a 20 years program. Itself is a very long time. And science is not just a small thing, right? It's also a very intense study. So putting another intense study into a curriculum which is already very intense, it will make students very, it might break down the students. So at that time, the monastic heads were very skeptical, but because the Dalai Lama has been pursuing them, and also during his meeting with other scientists, he invited all the monastic heads to see how it is going. So later on, the monastic heads all meet together and they say, okay, now we also have to put science in the monastic curriculum, monastic studies. So we have 4 years of science class as well. So that will be the final 4 years of the monastic classes. So now it is also so nowadays, if you have to complete your monastic degree, you have to take science exam. Otherwise, it's impossible. It's a requirement.
Does your style of questioning change if you're in science?
So that is something that, like professor from here said a lot, experienced a lot. Because here in universities, professors will just give lecture and then students will say, okay, right? And if there are some points that they don't understand, there are some clarification questions. But in the monastery, if the professor tells them explains something, and then the monks will will try to put out the reasoning behind that, and then they would ask questions that professor have never thought of before. So there is many of the professors here who went to monasteries to teach science. They have explained that there are some questions that I've never thought before, like there's things like that. So there are questions, but it's not like a debate because like in front of professor they won't debate. Like,
stay at that monastery forever?
oh, so it depends on the individual. So the program is we have monastic studies for like 17, 18 years. And then we have another 6 years of monastic, like we call it Geshi exam. So that is for the degree, if you are to get the degree of completion of monastic studies, it's like equivalent to PhD on Tibetan Buddhism. So if we have to take it, we have to take 6 years of exam on the top of the 17 years of monastic exam. So that would be like 25 years something like that, right? So after you complete your monastic exam, like all those PhD exam, like you get all the Geshe degree, you have another four years of class you have to attend for the for another type of Buddhism. We call it Vajrayana, or about more like a tantric, things like that. So after that, when you have completed all your exams, which takes around 30 years, if you complete all those exams, it's up to you whether you want to stay in the monastery and teach the young monks, or whether you want to go back to your hometown or your homeland and then teach to other monks or things like that. It's up to you. But for that, you have to finish all your exams before. So that's a lifelong work exams we have to take.
You told us that there is no right or wrong at the end of the debate, right? What about the relation between text and the question? Are there any relation?
When you say relation, do you mean the questions asked about the text?
No. I mean, are there any relation between the text, the literature,
Mm.
religious literature, and the questions?
Yes. So in the text, during our Bible discussion, we have some points that we read out, and then we say our doubts like that. We say that okay, it is written something like that, but I am not sure what it means, like that, right? We have these doubts or we have these questions. So similarly, when we read in the text, because we are studying the commentary on the root text. So one root text could have many different commentaries, and those commentaries could contradict with each other. So we would say, okay, so in this text it is said, it is explained as this one, but in another text it is explained as another thing which contradicts that thing. So we would try to figure out what it actually means, like things like that. So it is based on our own explanations. So I couldn't say that you are wrong because because your reasoning doesn't relate with my reasoning. So that's one thing in our monastery is that even though it is said, even though it is written or explained in Buddhist text, it's not necessarily that the monks will agree on that. So there are many Buddhist concepts that many monks won't agree, based on their own reasoning. Yes.
Can I ask a question? Like here, the professors in science, they give feedback about students' performance. Let's say they use the grade A, B, C, D, pass or fail. What's the assessment system?
We also have pass and fail.
Oh, yes, pass
Yes,
and fail.
and it's not like grading as in A, B, C like that. So that might be interesting to you because I told it to one Emory student and he was very surprised on that. So what we do is we have this grading system. In a sense, in a written exam, as always, the professor will mark on give grading on that. So out of 100, you might get 50, you might get 60, you might get 90, you might get 100. So you will have this marks written in the the report card, and then there's also one on debate, as you can see. Someone is there are 4 monks behind you. So they will also grade you. And then in memorization exam, you will be graded based on how many pages you have memorized. So after all those mark grades will be added, and then that will be announced to the monastery.
Okay.
So one interesting thing you might notice is all the gradings on every individual will be announced. So, and especially in the final 6 years of the Geshe degree, for the PhD degree that I mentioned before, all the gradings of each individual, how many marks he got in each subject, will be announced in the website, will be announced in will be hanged on wall, everything.
Wow.
So whether you are passed, you are failed, everyone will know.
Can I ask? So
Yeah.
what's the passing rate? And
So-
can one retake the exam?
Yeah, so it's different, I think, because the monastic passing grade is actually 33%. 33%. But if you are failed in one of the exams, like memorizing, or if you are failed in one of the exams, you are failed in all the exams.
Wow.
So even if you got the top position in the debate, you got top position in writing, but you failed in exam, in the memorizing exam, you are failed. There's no question. So you have to get at least 33 in each exams. So that's the passing grade. But then the passing grade increases when you take the Geshe degree. It goes from 33 to 50 and then to 60 like that.
We've run out
Thank
of
you.
time.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. How about we go outside and take a group photo together? If you would like to be a part of a group photo, we'll go outside and take a group photo, and then you can ask him more questions after that.
And we'll always meet in Sunday. So it's not only me, there are all the others monastics who ask questions.
You can also